morning, everybody, and welcome to the beautiful Seabourne Creek Nature Park here in Rosenberg, Texas. My name is Terri Hurley, and I am a Texas Master Naturalist with the Coastal Prairie Chapter here in Fort Bend County. You may ask, what is a Master Naturalist? Well, we are a group of trained volunteers who strive to conserve and manage the natural resources and environment of the beautiful state of Texas. And we do that through education, outreach, and service to the community. And today I want to talk to you about our signature project, which is this entire park. We have worked to convert this park from an old cotton pasture to this nature park that it is today, that's beneficial to wildlife, visitors, and it's great for families. You can just come out here and enjoy the beautiful nature and all the various areas that we've added. And today I'm going to give you a tour of the major areas of this park. So hopefully you'll be able to come out here one day and to enjoy this beautiful park. It's very easy to get to. It's just off of Highway 36, just a mile south of 59 out in Rosenberg. And I wanted to give you a little bit of history of this park before we start our tour. In the year 1993, the city of Rosenberg purchased this old cotton field, and it just sat there. They didn't do anything with it at all until 2009, when our chapter got the big idea of proposing to the city of Rosenberg that we be allowed to convert everything here from the old cotton field into a nature park. Well, they agreed, and we went into an agreement with the city council. We also negotiated with the Parks and Rec Department and also the Rosenberg Development Council to get funding to help us do this project. And we've been working on it ever since. We came up with a 20-year plan, and so we're in the 11th year of our plan, and we have created and added so many aspects of this park that you will really enjoy. And today I'm going to give you a tour of the major areas of the park, which are shown here. We're here right here, and we're going to spend about the next 30 minutes or so looking at the butterfly garden, the Seabourne Lake. We're going to be going to the Prairie Demo Garden and our Prairie Restoration area. And then I'm going to talk to you about the wetlands here, which is very productive for wildlife, which we've added, by the way. And also we're going to wind up at the bird sanctuary. And so I hope you enjoyed today's tour, and I want to thank you all for joining me, and let's start the tour. And so now we've walked just a few feet up from the parking lot and the entrance sign there along the pathway, and now we've come to the butterfly garden. This is the first garden that we put in the park, so it's been here about 10 years now, and the plants are mature, and so we're very excited about it. It's a very popular spot for visitors. Everybody's interested in butterflies these days. So we have provided two types of plants in here. Of course, you have your larval host plants, and we have nectar plants. And the nectar plants provide energy for the adult butterflies, and the larval host plants provide leaves where the adult butterflies can lay their eggs, the eggs hatch, and the caterpillars grow and eat those leaves. Most butterflies are very particular about the host plants that they will accept. So if you want to have a good butterfly garden, do some research of the butterflies in your area and try to source those host plants, because usually they'll take nectar from just about any pretty flower that you put out there. Not everything in here is a native, though. We have discovered that of course the non-natives, they can be very colorful and provide interest to the garden, and the butterflies, they love the non-natives also, especially for nectar. You don't have to have all natives for your butterfly garden. And we're totally organic here. No insecticides at all. So in addition to some pretty butterflies flying around, you may see some insects, but we don't worry about that at all. Our philosophy is If something is not eating the flowers in your garden, then your garden is just not part of the ecosystem. So we want this garden to be a part of the ecosystem where butterflies can flit around and live and grow. And so we're going to go on inside and take a look at this butterfly garden, and I hope you enjoy it. So here we are inside the butterfly garden, and as you can see, it's designed in sort of a U shape here. We've got benches so you can sit here and enjoy it and look at the beautiful butterflies that flit around. So many things are in bloom right now, and this is the 3 levels that this garden has been designed in. You can see the retaining wall there, so that gives us the height. Then we have this middle level here, and then we have the lower level there. But now I'm going to show you some of the spectacular plants in here that work really well to bring in the butterflies. This plant is called Ironweed, and it's named because of the very tough stems. It's beautiful in the late summer, has this purple that pops in the garden. It has a very upright form, so it gives you a great vertical element in the garden, and it's great nectar for the butterflies. It can get sort of spindly, so what you can do is cut it back in the late spring, and then it'll be very, very bushy. It also likes moist soils, and it's easy to grow in the garden also. I have some of this in my garden, and I just transplanted it from a little volunteer out in the Prairie Demo garden, and it's just working great. While the ironweed over there is a Texas native, this cassia candlestick plant is not a native. It's native to South America, but it's a very important host plant for a wide variety of butterflies, so that's why we have it in here. It's the host plant for several sulfurs and also the gray hair streak. But you can see it's a very stately plant. It certainly does look like a candlestick. There's the candles right up there. And it is a great plant for a xeriscape. It loves a dry soil, and also it reseeds. As you can see, we have a little volunteer right here also. And but it has a great lacy texture to add to the garden, and so I think this is a fun one to grow. Very easy to grow also. And one thing that you'll see that we've added throughout this entire park is informational signs such as this one right here. Now here in the butterfly garden, we talk about different types of butterflies, the monarch, and also the host plant for that particular butterfly, which is the milkweed. And of course, you can grow either native or non-native milkweed as a host plant for the monarch. But remember, if you grow non-native, you have to cut that back in mid-September and keep it cut back until about March, because otherwise it has the OE parasite in it. So, but the native milkweed does not. Also, the giant swallowtail, the host plant is citrus. I believe we have some sort of citrus around here somewhere. And also the Gulf fritillary, the host plant, is the passion flower. And so when you come to the park, be sure to check out all of our informational signs that we've added, and you can learn so much about nature here at this park with all these signs. This is the Mexican Bohemia, and it certainly is a favorite in the garden. It's pest-free, it flowers most months. It is an important host plant and nectar plant. The swallowtails love to get the nectar from the very lacy flowers here. It is a little bit frost tender, so it's best to plant it in a more protected area in your garden. I know that Tree Search Farms used to sell this at our garden art and plant sale. And so it's a shrub. It gets about this tall, maybe a little bit taller. But if it does get a little freeze in the wintertime, you just want to cut it back. down to the green growth, and then just let it come back, because it certainly will, sort of like a Hamelia patens. And but it adds another plant that adds a lacy texture with the beautiful white flowers. And look at this lantana. This is a native form, and you can tell because number one, there's no pink in the flowers whatsoever, and also the leaves are very rough, very sandpapery, and there is very strong zigzag edges to the leaves. This is a very important nectar plant for a lot of butterflies. You can see how great this looks. I don't know why mine doesn't look this good right now, but this one is getting such full sun. It can handle the heat really, really well. This is the yellow bells, Tacoma stands, but it is the orange version, as you can see, and it is a bloomer in the late summer. Look at how great this looks. It's an important nectar plant for not only butterflies, but a wide variety of other types of pollinators, bees, moths, even hummingbirds like this plant. And look at how great it looks right now. This wild-looking plant is Frostweed, and it is truly a marvel of Mother Nature because of what it does in the wintertime. If we get freezing temperatures in the winter, what happens is the stems split and they exude the sap comes out, and it freezes and forms into the most beautiful, almost like angel hair looking fluffy ribbons that just fall down. So if you get to see that, that really is a special treat. It doesn't happen often here in the Houston area, but it is a very important nectar plant for migrating monarchs because it blooms in the fall, as you can see here. It's so important, as a matter of fact, that the Monarch Watch organization has declared this to be a monitoring plant. So they sort of keep a watch on the stands of frostweed around the country just to see what type of season or quality of habitat is available for migrating monarchs. It's wild looking, so it's probably not right for a formal looking garden, but if you have a naturescape or a jungle in your backyard like I do, then this would be a great one to get. And another one of our first projects that we did here at the park was to convert this ugly old retention pond into a very productive, natural looking lake that you can see what it is today. At the beginning, there were no fish, there were no plantings along the edge, no trees, and the water quality was poor. But now we've gone in and we've added all of these trees, all of the pickerel rush, the cattails over there, and it's very productive for fish now. We stock it every year with 3 different types of fish, and we also volunteer at the Fish-tastics, which is put on by the city of Rosenberg here at this lake every year in February. So you can come out here, it's for kids, you can come out here, bring your children, your grandchildren, they can have a grand time and participate in the competition. We've got a couple of fishing decks over there, there's benches, you can bring your picnic, you can walk around the perimeter. So come on out and check out this nice lake. And now we've walked a little bit further down into the interior of the park, and we're over here by our Prairie Demo Garden. This garden is designed to highlight plants and other forbs that are native to Fort Bend County. So they represent a very special subset of plants. So we're going to take a little tour on the inside here so you can see the plants that are growing in there. And also the history of this. It's been in the ground for several years now, and it was initially, part of it was done by some Boy Scouts. They did it for an Eagle project, and you can see that it's designed with a center aisle here and then with offshoots going out like that. And I also wanted to point out this fence here. Not everything goes well for us here at this park. Before there was no fence here, and we turned out we were getting a problem with the feral hogs, and you know how those guys are. And so they would just get in here and just root everything up and just destroy everything. So part of our chapter got together and designed this hog fence and installed it. It's cedar trunks, and it's worked out very, very well and adds a really nice rustic look to this garden. So let's go on inside and look at some of the plants in here. And now here we are inside the Prairie Demo Garden, and we have all native plants in here, but we have two different types of beds that we have on display here. The first type is the habitat bed, and we have several of those. These beds highlight the plants that are important to various types of wildlife. For example, this is my bird bed. This is where I spend the majority of my time volunteering out here. And this provides plants that have seeds for birds, such as the side oats grama and the knotroot bristlegrass there. Also, we have plants that are good for nesting, such as this yaupon holly. And we have cover plants, for example, for quail. And so walking along, up top there, up front there, we have a pollinator bed. Oh, and this is Maximilian sunflower here, which gets so tall and blooms in the fall here. And here is a pollinator bed, and look at the blooms here. These plants all provide nectar for bees and butterflies and moths, and there's a nice little bee right there on that blue mist flower there. Oh, there's a big bee over there. And this is, oh, look at that bee right there. This is Partridge Pea, which is very important for pollinators, and it's a host plant for sulfurs also. So this is a good one. It's a legume, so it helps to fix nitrogen in the soil. But look at how pretty it is. And then the other type of bed that we have are beds that just highlight specific families of plants, such as this one over here, which shows plants that are in a prairie pothole, which is a little dip in your prairie that will have water in it on a seasonal basis. So these plants can handle wet feet. And over here, look at this great combination here. We have a mallow, and over here with the ironweed, look at how great they look together. And here's more goatweed. We have the blue mist flower. This is Gulf vervain, and we also even have a little bit of rattlesnake master here, which I didn't know that it liked wet feet, but maybe it can handle it. And so now we're going to look at some other beds. Also I want to talk about the signs that we have here in the demo garden. The team that works in this garden has worked really hard to add a lot of informational signs. Look at this. And then they also have lots of brochures that will give you more information about each particular bed. And those brochures were created by members of the team that work out here in this garden. We volunteer every Wednesday at a minimum, year-round, working in the entire park. And we have certain people who like to volunteer at certain areas of the park. I myself work here along with maybe about 5 or 6 other members of the chapter. And here in the middle of the Prairie Demo Garden, we have a triangular shaped bed that highlights plants that are vital for nectar for hummingbirds in the spring and the fall during their migrations. And again, you see we have provided everybody great signage. We have a free brochure that talks about the hummingbird plants, and we have the Texas sage, which has the tubular shaped flowers. We have Turk's cap over here. We have liatris back there, which the hummingbirds like, and we also have some coral vine, which the hummingbirds like too. Lots of red, which is the hummingbird's favorite color. And here we are at the bee garden in the back of the Prairie Demo Garden. And we have plants here that the bees like for their nectar. And we have signage also and pamphlets. Now there's 20,000 species of bees in the world, but 90% of those are solitary. They do not live in hives. They live in either holes in the ground or in holes in dead trunks or branches of trees or shrubs, which is amazing. In Texas, most of the native species in Texas nest in the ground. And on the other side, we have this amazing bee house, which was created by a Girl Scout troop. And so this shows that the majority of native bees in Texas do not live in a hive. They live in either holes in tree trunks or of course holes in the ground, but this is a great approximation for holes in dead tree trunks, which, as you know, are really getting harder and harder for them to find. So you can create something like this yourself. And we've just got blocks of different types of wood here, and holes have been dug. We also have some bamboo stakes in there. And you can tell which types of bees are using your bee house. If it is a leafcutter bee, you'll see little leaves sticking out of the hole. If it's a miner bee, then you will see mud there. And we're definitely getting some action here. But one thing that you need to keep in mind about your bee house is that you do need to clean these guys out in the winter time. And if you find one of the little nests in there, you're supposed to take that out, protect it over the winter, and then put it back in the spring. So you can't just put this thing out there and forget about it. It does require a little bit of maintenance. And this is a pocket prairie bed, and we have a brochure in here that can show you how to make your own pocket prairie in your own backyard or front yard if your HOA will allow it. And it gives you the different types of plants that you can put in your pocket prairie. And so this, you know, prairies are disappearing at a fast rate. So if we all could plant just a little pocket prairie in our backyard, just think of the advantage that would provide to wildlife. So come here and check out this bed and get some ideas on making your own pocket prairie. And this bed here is the butterfly bed, which has plants which are great for nectar and larval host plants. We also have great signage, colorful. This shows the common butterflies and their caterpillars that we've seen here in this particular bed. You have to keep an eye out for the caterpillars. If you see them, you don't want to get all worried and get your insecticide out. We also have photos of the native larval host plants also, and that's the plants that caterpillars have to survive to be able to grow into the adult butterflies. Look at how colorful this is, and we have butterflies all over this. So come on out, bring your camera, take pictures of the butterflies here and the flowers that are in bloom. So I hope you've enjoyed the tour of the Prairie Demo Garden. And now we've left the Prairie Demo Garden and we are over here near our Prairie Restoration project. This is the nursery here. This is the heart of the working area of the project. We grow our own plants native to Texas. We get the seeds from the Prairie Demo Garden over there. We start them off in the greenhouse, bump them up to 4-inch pots in this protected area with the netting. And then from that, we move them into the gallons. And you can see we've got liatris, we've got Gulf vervain, we have all the different grasses over there. More grasses over here, Texas hibiscus over there. And again, we've discovered that you can't just leave these plants out here in the sun like this. You do have to provide a little supplemental water every now and then, which we've added with the nice misting system over here. And a lot of us volunteer here to help grow these plants. And this is so much work here, but it's been very successful. And it's these plants that we use to plant out in the garden. We plant thousands of plants in that prairie every year. This little area here is and shows examples of the types of prairie grasses that used to be found all over the Gulf Coast. When the pioneers first arrived, they talked about grasses that were tall as a horse, and it was known as the tall grass prairie. And that consisted of 5 different types of grasses, and here they are over here. This is the eastern gamma grass here. It's really kind of hard to identify grasses, so that's why we've got the signs here. Eastern gamma grass here. We have big blue stem over here. You can see the blue undertone. We also have the little blue stem back there. And this is the yellow Indian grass. And then back there we have the switch grass. And you can certainly see that how tall it is. It's over 6 feet, it looks like. But you can come here and get an idea of what the Gulf Coast prairies used to look like before the settlers showed up. The area behind me is where we are working on our prairie restoration. It's not so much a restoration as it is a recreation, because when we first showed up, this had been an old cotton farm full of invasive species. So the first thing that we had to do was to get rid of all of that invasive species, and it certainly was a lot of work. It was a combination of applying herbicides, we had a prescribed burn, we did some shredding and mowing, and we're still working on that. Then the next step, of course, was to plant the native species. We plant 2,000 to 3,000 every single year. We do get help, volunteer help from other nonprofit organizations to help with all that planting. And of course we grow all of the native plants here in our own nursery. And then we planted all of those out there. We have about 20 acres that we're working on. And then the third step is, of course, the maintenance of all of those plants, which we've added a small irrigation system out there in certain areas because of the drought that we've had for the past several years. It was important to do that. But with the funding, we were able to, the funding only goes for supplies and materials. There's no labor coming from the funding. We provide all the labor with assistance from other organizations. But it's been very, very successful. We have a very nice wide trail. You can ride your bicycle through there. Now, once a year in November, the first Saturday in November, we have our Nature Fest. And I would like to invite you all to come out. One year we had 2,000 people there. This past year we had about 1,200 people. It's so much fun. We will have hay rides and tractor rides in through here with informational commentary from our members. We have all types of booths and tents with more information about nature and prairies, and other organizations will come out here and have hands-on experiences, and we have food trucks and games, and it's a grand old time. So I would like to invite you all to come out and join us there. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel this year's Nature Fest because of the coronavirus, but we are planning on a bigger and better Nature Fest in 2021. So I hope you'll come out then and look at our beautiful prairie recreation. Let's just listen to the beautiful birds and the sound of the grasses blowing in the wind. A few feet across the pathway from the entrance to our Seabourne Prairie, you'll see this beautiful wetlands. And it's just amazing to think that our chapter created and added this wetlands about 5 years ago. It was a barren little depression in the ground here. Would not hold water, was devoid of wildlife, and so we got the grand idea, we have all kinds of great ideas, of creating a wetlands here. So we started off with a test plot, 1/3 acre little depression in the soil, and then we dug it down to 26 inches, added a thick layer of impermeable clay, and then filled that with water and just waited to see if it will hold water. And sure enough, it did. It worked like a charm. We took that exact same process and then applied it to the 4 acres here. We dug this whole area down to 26 inches, had some serious negotiations with our contractor to get the very best price, and then he dug it down, and then we added the impermeable clay liner, and then we filled it with water, and then over the years we've added the great plantings here, and look at it now. It's just amazing to think that this was made by our chapter. And you can see it's doing great for wildlife. We've got the roseate spoonbills over there. We had that kingfisher. There's ibises, egrets, herons, and they're using it. We had a beaver here a couple of years ago, and it's just working out very, very well. Not only is it beautiful, but it's very productive. And this is an ongoing project. Our next step is to add infrastructure to help build roosts on these 2 islands that we created. You can see on that island back there that they're already trying to start with the roosting. And so we're going to help them out a little bit by adding some infrastructure. So we add something new every year to this park. And so I want to invite y'all all to come back and look at it again and again and see what's new. Let's just listen to the beautiful sounds of the peace and quiet. If you follow the pathway from the wetlands and the Prairie Restoration area, follow the pathway about 5 minutes and you come to our bird woodland sanctuary. And we have seen 203 species of birds in this area. One of our rarest that we have had was a Bullock's oriole that was seen last year, and we had a lot of birders and photographers from around the area come to look at it. And right now we are actively still adding features and plants and berry producing trees to turn this into even more of a birder's paradise for everybody. And we have a bird hike once a month from October to May here at the Nature Park. You just meet at the parking lot at 8 a.m. and we have some experienced birders who join us, and they take us on a tour of the park for about a couple of hours, and you can see a lot of species of birds. Bring your binoculars, and it's totally free, and it certainly is a lot of fun. So I would like to invite you to come back for that. And now we're going to walk down this little pathway and look at the bird sanctuary. And now we are in our bird sanctuary here in the middle of the woodland, so it's so nice and cool here. And you can see that we've added a dripper with a little pond underneath, a little bird bath underneath the dripper. We have a brush pile there, which is good for bringing in the sparrows. We have all different types and styles of bird feeders, which we fill every day. Our members come out here every day to fill this up, especially during the migration times. And it's a lot of fun to come here. We've got beautiful benches over here that you can sit in and bird watch. It's a nice distance for photography also. And again, we've seen a lot of birds here, and we're still adding mulberries, Turk's cap, any type of native trees and shrubs that bring in the birds, and also red salvia for bringing in the hummingbirds. A short walk from the bird sanctuary and through a hidden kind of a trail behind the picnic tables, we come to this bird blind. This was an Eagle Scout project that was completed not too long ago. And in through here, we have a water feature that drips continuously, and we get all kinds of wonderful birds coming to the bird blind here. So bring a chair, bring your camera, put it right here, take some beautiful photos. And there's a beautyberry over there. We've got some mistflower, it looks like, pecan trees, mulberry trees. It really is a nice feature, a nice addition to the woodlands area. Well, now we've come to the end of the virtual tour of Seabourne Creek Nature Park. I hope you had a wonderful time and enjoyed the tour. I want to invite you all to come back and enjoy the park on your own. It's very family friendly. You can bring your pets as long as you keep them on a leash. Come back, spend some time, have a picnic, go fishing, wander around the butterfly or the demo garden on your own, go bird watching, look at the wetlands. It really is a lot of fun. There's so much to offer here at the park. And we're on our way out now. This is the R.W. Lindsay Gazebo, which I understand you can rent for family functions if you want. And but the park opens at 6:30 in the morning, and it stays open until dusk. So there's plenty of time for, if you're sick and tired of being cooped up due to the corona, you can come out here and have a grand time. And I want to thank you all for coming. I had a great time out here with you. I hope to see you around here one day soon. Thank you. Bye.